Somewhere on your tomato plant right now, there's a fruit that would drop into your hand if you barely touched it. Not pulled, not tugged, just touched. And if you don't already know which one that is, you're probably leaving it hanging there for another week, doing absolutely nothing for it. Because that's what every gardening book ever printed told you to do. 3 summers ago, I was standing in my own garden at the end of August. Humidity thick enough to see, staring at a beefsteak plant loaded with fruit that had been sitting green, then blushing, then half red for what felt like forever, with no clear sign any of it was speeding up. I kept telling myself the same thing you're probably telling yourself right now. Just let it finish on the vine. That's when the flavor peaks. So I waited and waited. Meanwhile, birds were going after the ones closest to ripe. A couple split wide open after a heavy rain. And by the time I finally picked the whole plant clean, I'd lost close to a third of that harvest to things that never would have happened if I just picked sooner. That mistake is reason 4 today, and it's the biggest one. But it's not the only thing standing between you and a full bowl of red tomatoes. There's heat stress, there's what you're feeding the plant, and there's how much fruit you're actually asking one plant to carry at once. Walk through all 4 with me. Check them against your own plan as we go, and by the end you'll know exactly which one is yours, maybe more than one. Reason 1. Your plant is too hot to ripen. Let's start with the one that sounds completely backwards. Tomatoes are a summer crop. You'd think more heat means more red, faster. It's the opposite. Somewhere past 85 degrees Fahrenheit, your tomato plant physically stops producing the 2 pigments responsible for that deep red color, lycopene and carotene. Not slows down, stops completely. Picture leaving a candle out in direct sun on a 100-degree day. It's not melting faster. It's just sitting there, stalled, waiting for conditions to change before anything happens at all. That's your tomato plant during a heat wave. It isn't broken. It's stuck in neutral, waiting for relief that hasn't come yet. Here's the fix, and it takes about 5 minutes to set up. Get a shade cloth over your plants during the hottest stretch of the day. Even a basic 30% shade cloth can drop the temperature around your fruit by 5 to 10 degrees. That's often the exact gap between completely stalled and ripening again within days. If you don't have shade cloth on hand, and a tomato has already reached full size but just won't turn, go ahead and pull it, even while it's still green, and set it in a paper bag on your kitchen counter. That traps the ripening gas the fruit already produces on its own. Give it about 5 days, and you'll have color, even without another minute of direct sun. One flip side worth knowing, especially if you're gardening somewhere with short or cool summers, the opposite problem shows up below about 65 degrees. Down there, you actually want more sun exposure, not less, and warming your soil with black mulch or landscape fabric between rows can trap extra heat overnight and nudge things along. So before you reach for shade cloth, check which direction your actual problem is running. And if you're not sure which one applies to you, here's a simple test that takes 30 seconds. Stick an outdoor thermometer near your fruit clusters, in the shade the fruit itself is sitting in, not out in open sun, and check it in the early afternoon for a few days running. If you're consistently seeing 85 or above, you're in heat stall territory and shade cloth is your answer. If you're consistently under 65, even at the warmest part of the day, you're in the cold camp, and black mulch plus full sun is what you need instead. Don't guess. A lot of gardeners assume they know which problem they have, install the wrong fix, and wonder why nothing changed 2 weeks later. Reason 2. Too much nitrogen, too many leaves. Now, go take an actual look at your plant, not later, right now if you can. Is it more leaf than tomato? Deep, healthy green, thick and full. Practically a hedge at this point, but when you go hunting through it for fruit clusters, they're thin or hiding or smaller than you expected. That's nitrogen still talking, long after it should have stopped. Early in the season, a nitrogen-heavy fertilizer is exactly what you want. It builds a strong, established plant fast. But if you're still feeding that same heavy nitrogen deep into summer, your plant just keeps doing what nitrogen tells it to do. Grow more of itself. More leaves, more stems, more green mass instead of finishing the fruit it's already grown. Your plant isn't being difficult. It's still following spring's instructions in the middle of summer, because nothing told it the assignment changed. The fix has 2 parts, and neither takes long. First, switch your fertilizer to something lower in nitrogen and higher in phosphorus and potassium. Those 2 nutrients specifically support flowering and fruit development instead of leafy growth, and that swap alone redirects your plant's priorities. Second, and this is the part people resist, it's genuinely fine to prune. Take a pair of shears and clear out the leaves below your lowest fruit cluster. You are not hurting the plant. You're improving airflow, which cuts down on disease. You're letting more light reach the fruit that's already there. And you're freeing up energy that was going toward leaves nobody needed, redirecting it toward tomatoes you actually want to eat. You don't need to strip the plant bare. Leaves above the fruit are still doing real photosynthetic work. Just clear the excess below where your harvest is actually happening, and you'll notice the difference within a couple of weeks. If you want to know for certain instead of guessing, a basic home soil test kit will tell you your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium levels directly, and they're cheap enough that it's worth doing once a season. But honestly, your plant is usually telling you the same thing for free. Dark, almost blue-green leaves, thick succulent stems, and flowers that form and then drop off without ever becoming fruit. That's a nitrogen-heavy plant talking to you in the only language it has. Learn to read that, and you won't need the test kit most summers. One more thing worth mentioning here, because it trips people up. Don't panic and cut your nitrogen off completely. Going from too much straight to none can shock the plant just as badly as the original problem. Taper it down gradually over a couple of feedings instead of stopping cold, and you'll get a much smoother transition into fruit-focused growth. Reason 3. Your plant is carrying more fruit than it can ripen at once. This next one is genuinely contested in gardening circles, and both sides have a point, so let's actually look at both before I tell you where I land. One camp says, let the plant grow wild. More stems, more suckers, more fruit. Nature knows what it's doing, and a bigger plant means a bigger harvest eventually. The other camp prunes hard, trains everything down to 1 or 2 main stems, and swears that's the only way to get fast, reliable ripening. Here's the honest answer. They're both right, depending on what you're optimizing for. If you want the biggest possible total harvest and you don't mind waiting longer for it, let it grow wild. If you want tomatoes ripening faster, right now, with the fruit you've already got, thin it. Here's why thinning works. Every tomato plant has a limited energy budget, and that budget gets divided across every single fruit currently on the vine, plus every sucker, those extra shoots that grow in the joint between the main stem and a branch that's competing for the same supply. Load up a plant with fruit and unchecked suckers, and you haven't given it more resources. You've just handed it more mouths to feed with the same amount of food. The fruit closest to finishing gets shortchanged by all the fruits still trying to catch up behind it, and everything ripens slower as a result. If speed is what you're after, and if you clicked on a video titled "Fix This," I'm guessing it is the move is selective thinning. Go through and remove the smaller, deformed, or clearly lower priority tomatoes, along with excess suckers, especially low on the plant. Yes, your total harvest count drops a bit, but what's left ripens noticeably faster, sizes up better, and often tastes better too, because all that saved energy is now funneled into fewer, higher quality tomatoes instead of spread thin across dozens of them. And if you want to sidestep this entire problem next season, plant a mix of varieties instead of committing to one giant, slow-maturing type. Early cherry tomatoes can go from transplant to harvest in as little as 8 weeks. Mid-sized slicers usually land around 55 to 65 days. Big beefsteaks can take 70 days or more. Stagger those, and you're never facing one massive wave of fruit, all demanding to ripen in the same 2-week window. Quick note on identifying suckers if you're new to this, because it trips up a lot of first-time growers. Look at the joint where a branch meets the main stem at roughly a 45-degree angle. If there's a smaller stem growing directly out of that V-shaped joint, that's a sucker. Left alone, it'll grow into a full additional stem with its own leaves, flowers, and fruit, essentially turning one plant into 2 or 3 competing plants, sharing one root system. Pinching those off early, while they're still small, costs you nothing and saves your plant a lot of wasted effort later. Reason 4. You're leaving tomatoes on the vine out of habit. Remember that fruit I mentioned at the very start, the one that would drop into your hand with barely a touch? Let's find it. Go pick one of your green or blushing tomatoes and try this yourself. Once a tomato reaches somewhere between 30 and 50% red, something happens that almost nobody explains clearly. The stem physically seals shut, not loosens. Seals. The plant heals over that connection point the same way your skin heals over a cut. Give that tomato the lightest tug, and it drops off with almost no resistance at all, like it was never attached in the first place. Because biologically, at that point, it wasn't. Not anymore. Here's why that matters more than most people realize. Every single hour past that seal, the tomato is taking zero nutrients from your plant. None. It's just sitting there, dead weight the plant still has to physically support. Exposed to sun scald, exposed to cracking if it rains, exposed to birds and squirrels who'd love nothing more than to get to it before you do. Meanwhile, your plant is spending real energy holding up fruit that isn't feeding off it anymore, energy that could be going toward everything else still trying to ripen. The advice to let it hang until it's fully red on the vine isn't protecting flavor. It never was. It's just costing you time and putting fruit you already grew at needless risk. I found this out the hard way that August I mentioned earlier, a third of a harvest, gone, because I trusted a piece of advice I'd never actually tested. Once I started picking at that halfway mark instead of waiting for full color, everything changed. Faster turnover, less damage from pests and weather, and a plant that clearly had more energy to spend on the fruit still coming up behind what I'd already picked. So here's the fix, and it's the simplest one in this whole video. The moment a tomato hits roughly half red, pull it. Bring it inside and let it finish on the counter. It ends up the exact same color and the exact same flavor as if you'd left it on the vine, because by that point, it was already finished cooking on the plant's end anyway. The only thing you're changing is timing, and that timing is what frees up your plant to pour everything it's got into ripening the fruit still behind it. And once a tomato is fully red, don't let it sit there either. Pick it. Every day a ripe tomato hangs around is another day it's an open invitation to whatever's hungry in your yard. If you're worried about picking too early and ending up with something bland, here's the reassurance. There's an actual visual stage between green and fully red called the breaker stage, and it's your green light. A tomato in breaker stage shows the very first blush of color, usually starting at the blossom end, covering somewhere around 10 to 30% of the fruit. That's the earliest point worth harvesting if you want to bring it inside. Wait until it's closer to the 50% mark I mentioned, and you're firmly in safe territory, full flavor guaranteed, stem already sealed, zero reason left to leave it outside. 2 quick bonus tricks. If you've got a handful of stubborn green tomatoes that just won't budge no matter what you do, try this. Put them in a paper bag with 1 ripe banana and seal it shut. The banana releases extra ethylene gas, the same ripening compound the tomato itself produces, and most tomatoes will fully color up within about a week. And if you're watching this anywhere from late August through September and you've still got a plant loaded with green fruit, pay attention, because your window is closing fast. Once first frost hits, that plant is done, full stop, and every green tomato left on it either gets harvested now or wasted. So don't wait. Pick everything, sort it by size, and lay the larger ones in a single layer inside a box, somewhere cool and dark. Check on them every few days. You'll be pulling ripe, edible tomatoes off that shelf for weeks after the actual growing season ended. One thing to avoid with both of these tricks: don't crowd your tomatoes into a pile, and don't seal them in plastic instead of paper or cardboard. Tomatoes stacked on top of each other bruise fast and rot faster, and plastic traps moisture instead of letting the fruit breathe, which speeds up mold far more than it speeds up ripening. A single layer, breathable material, cool and dark. That's the whole formula, and it works whether you're ripening 5 tomatoes or 50. What to do right now? Go back out to your plant with these 4 questions in mind. Is it running too hot, past that 85-degree threshold, with fruit stalled in place? Is it more leaf than tomato, still following spring's nitrogen instructions in the middle of summer? Is it carrying more fruit and suckers than one plant can realistically fuel at once? And this is the one that costs you nothing to fix. Is there a tomato hanging there right now that would fall into your hand with almost no pressure at all? That last one doesn't need a shade cloth, a fertilizer switch, or a single dollar spent. It just needs you to go test it before you do anything else today. Find that tomato, give it the lightest touch you can, and see what happens. And if more than one of these 4 turned out to be true for your plant at the same time, don't feel like you failed somewhere. Most gardens I've seen, including my own most seasons, are dealing with 2 or 3 of these stacked on top of each other, not just one clean, isolated cause. A hot summer makes it easier to overfeed nitrogen without noticing, because the plant's stressed and you're trying to help it along. An overloaded, sucker-heavy plant is more likely to hold onto fruit past the breaker stage, simply because there's so much of it to keep track of. These 4 reasons aren't separate boxes so much as one interconnected system, and fixing any single one usually makes the others easier to manage too. If this helped you get a clearer read on your own garden, Let me know in the comments which one of these four turned out to be your actual problem. I read every one, and it tells me exactly what to cover next. And if you want to keep growing alongside me all season, hit subscribe, because there's a lot more coming. See you in the next one.